Welcome to Respawning Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast where three lifelong friends gather to talk about video games. I'm Holden DePardo, and that is...
Chad Michael Innes!
And you're you, and that's why we love you. Let's start right off with our Sony quest log, Final Fantasy VII gameplay at TGS.
TGS stands for Tokyo Game Show.
That is
really
what Chad
want this
always
to be
sounds
somebody's first episode that they ever listen to, and they actually think that I sound like that. There's nothing wrong with sounding like that.
There's not, but the voice he's using right now is not his normal voice. The
No.
original one you first heard, that's his normal voice. So, they had Final Fantasy VII gameplay at TGS. It was largely things we had already seen at E3.
Exactly.
I feel. There was one more boss fight they showed off that was kind of cool. It's like this big blue monster with horns protruding from its shoulders. But I did notice that during that fight...
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, there was that. That was kind of cool. They had... It was Aerith, and who's the other girl in... Other woman in...
Did they show Tifa?
Tifa, yeah. Tifa was fighting alongside Cloud. And then Cloud had a different sword. Now, I never played Final Fantasy VII. Does he... I thought he always had the Buster Sword throughout the whole game. Does that
You
change?
get different weapons throughout the game.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it actually changed with the animation.
I mean, his Buster Sword is the iconic sword, and that's the one he has on the game cover and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you get different swords.
I always hate when games do that, actually. I'd rather boost up my Buster Sword, because then I feel like I'm not using the iconic awesome sword, and if I want to use that, I got to be shitty at the game.
On the opposite side of things, we'll come back to this later, or maybe never again. I really hate when you have shitty clothing starting out, and then you equip new stuff, and your shitty clothing never changes, like the Dragon Quest XI demo.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mind the shitty clothes in that, but I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not really much talking about the Final Fantasy VII gameplay, to be frank. But there was Death Stranding gameplay. We finally got our full peek at the gameplay in crystal clear Japanese, so I know exactly what happened to the game.
Crystal clear. Like,
crystal clear.
The audio, the microphones they were using
were
top notch.
Crystal clear. Top notch. I'm sure Kojima explained it really well in a language I don't understand.
Yeah, there was a Death Stranding 50-minute video. 49 minutes of gameplay of Death Stranding, so people can actually see you moving around the world for an extended period of time. I watched maybe 6 minutes of that in Japanese, and then I instead watched the 10-minute recap, 59 things you learned about Death Stranding from this video, and just saw the recap in English.
Yep, I did not watch that, and I watched the full 49-minute gameplay demo in Japanese. So my interpretation very well could be off, but I feel like I have a somewhat better idea of what this game is, and I'm a little more excited about it than I was after the really strange gameplay.
They are starting to reel me back into. Yep.
Yeah. I do have some concerns about moment-to-moment gameplay being entertaining. We'll see. But just to kind of jump into it, the big thing is the social aspect. That's kind of one part that has been discussed and talked about, and I feel like I know what that means now.
Right.
We already knew that you were connecting different cities in the United States kind of together. That was kind of the idea. But it seems like that happens through people helping each other out in their own versions of the game, but it all kind of collaborates in some way. So, you notice things like Sam will put a ladder down, and then when he comes back to that area, there'll be another ladder next to it that looks like another player had put down, and the worlds are connected in some way. And you can kind of see, in Dark Souls, for example, you can leave the notes down for people.
Right.
And you can rate those notes. You'd see those kind of ratings as well of people who liked that thing that you did. There are things like, I saw there was a bridge at one point where there's this big structure going over a river. And that had a 420-something likes because it was really useful and helpful. So I kind of feel like as everyone plays this game, they have this shared experience where they're building the world to literally rebuild it because it's been damaged by the Death Stranding. And that's the stuff where I get confused. I don't really know what the Death Stranding's about still. But that's a cool concept for a game.
Yeah, they showed.
Is that kind of the vibe you got too?
Yeah, they showed a. Did you watch the briefing trailer?
No.
Where they were talking about the woman who's the only thing I remember about her is that her middle name is America. They are very on the nose with the names of these characters. Heartman, Sam Porter Bridges, America is the president. Anyway, so it's a trailer basically maybe 6 or 7 minutes about her pleading with Sam, trying to get him to make the journey all the way from the Atlantic to the Pacific, literally making those connections physically and by uniting the people along the way. And as you mentioned, you do that, and you have the kind of the feedback version of that is likes, the social media likes. I'm glad that it doesn't actually have like Facebook integration likes, or that we haven't seen so far, and that it's its own proprietary made up social network. But yeah, I love the idea of taking that Dark Souls leave a note kind of thing one step further. And like, if you leave something behind that's very helpful, like the bridge they mentioned, you can either choose to collapse the bridge and take it with you and use it again, or you can leave it down for other people. Or if you leave a note that's particularly helpful for somebody and people like it, then that helps you in your world. So I love that it's a video game that encourages people to do good and to help other people, and that you get further in the game by being like, I think about Avenue Q, and when you help others, you can't help helping yourself. That's the one good thing that they say in that musical, other than you can be as loud as the hell you want when you're making love. But yes, I feel like I finally have an understanding of what that means, and I feel like I'm finally there's a context to some of the quote-unquote things that I found boring that I've seen in the game. Seeing like, why am I doing bridges? Why am I like going to see Jeff Keighley and some Japanese pop star in a thing? And like, oh, okay, I kind of get now. The mechanic is I'm gaining popularity and gaining rapport with people and recruiting them to my cause.
I think what that's also going to help out with too, and tangent that's going to tie right back into this again. It seems like the main mission structure is essentially you're making deliveries. You are going from city to city carrying stuff, and you have like a set weight limit of how much you can carry. And when I was kind of first watching it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really boring because it seems like it takes forever to get somewhere. Like, you really have to trek across and really have a journey to get to the next city. But then I realized, well, if the world's kind of changing around you, you might be seeing different things on your way back and forth and seeing this world evolve over time. So like the environment very much is a character. Like everyone always kind of jokes about like New York City's a character on our show, like in 30 Rock. But it really does feel like it has a it really feels like it does have that world's going to be very, very important to this game and the mechanics surrounding it. So I don't know, like I'm still have a concern the moment-to-moment gameplay is going to be kind of a little bit of a drag. There was just so many points in the 50-minute demo where they would cut to him doing the same thing that he was doing before, like a time jump.
Yep.
And it made me a little concerned, but I feel like if there are a lot of people playing this game and things are changing a lot, that could get really, really interesting.
Yep. Can we also talk about all of the things that Norman Reedus is just doing, like sitting on the bed, putting on his necklace of whatever, I forgot what they called it in the debriefing trailer. How fucking good this game looks visually.
Yeah.
It is so stunning. Like, seeing that also made me excited, like, well, fuck, now if a game literally looks this good, I have to play it.
Absolutely. The environments in particular practically look photorealistic.
Practically perfect in every way.
One thing I noticed is there's a lot of similarities to Breath of the Wild.
No,
I'm not kidding. These are not like small...
I don't want it. I don't want it.
For one, it's about the journey across the world, which is very similar to Breath of the Wild, but it's not that stuff. It's stuff like...
Breath of the Wild's not about a journey across the world. It's about going in your backyard of the castle that's been there the whole time.
Journeying across the world to collect stuff to ignore the castle until you want to go there. So there'll be things like you bring some of these supplies to a small little like shelter, and when you get to that shelter you talk to someone, and when you talk to that person it then fills in a portion of the map, just like the Sheikah Towers do in Breath of the Wild.
Just like every tower does in Assassin's Creed and any open world game, and when you just get a radio tower in Spider-Man. But it plays out
the same exact way
in
as
every
it does
game.
in Breath of the Wild. It pulls out to the map. It like has a very similar animation. I felt it looked very, very similar.
That's
There's
exactly
also
what
this
Assassin's
element
Creed
of,
does. That's what all the games do.
Let me keep going.
You are making this so contrived, trying to tie it to Breath of the Wild when it's just video games. Breath of the Wild sucks.
there's this element of as well of struggling against the environment. It seems like when Sam went to go across this river, he ended up losing some of his supplies because he went too deep in the water, and he has like collect them back up again. Like, there's just kind of this like challenge against the environment being one of the obstacles that you face across. And Breath of the Wild is one of the only games that I've played that I've really seen that before.
Because you've never played Assassin's Creed.
What was that?
Because you've never played Assassin's Creed?
I played Assassin's Creed before.
Yeah. Whatever.
I played Assassin's Creed before.
Whatever.
You have to like catch your breath. There's this whole thing of like leaning side to side. You like shift the weight of your bag. I noticed.
Yeah,
odd stuff like that.
I'm hoping that a lot of that is Japanese gaming. Like they even showed in Final Fantasy VII, like all the weird quirky stuff, like you can do squats and all this kind of stuff, but you don't have to do that. That stuff is there if you want to do it, but you don't have to do that. I kind of hope some of these things that we're seeing, like peeing on mushrooms and readjusting the weight and doing like little things like that, like I get it. They're there. I can do them once or twice, but I don't have to continue to do that for the rest of my life or else I'll die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope so, because there's things like I have so here. At one point, Sam literally sits down and 3 options are available. Massage shoulders, sleep, and stand up. And I'm like, oh boy, I hope I don't have to do that.
Yep.
Oh no, I got a massage. I got to give Sam Reedus a massage right now. Okay, I want to the enemy encounter. There were 2 enemy encounters in the demo. One was regular people's, one was Death Stranding. Enemy encounter with the people. It didn't seem like you were actually killing them. It seemed like the goal was to get away from them or to knock them out in some way.
Yep. Render them unconscious.
Yes. That seemed really exciting, actually. There's this very impromptu feel to it where, like, there was a truck and what is his name? Sam Bridges runs up to the truck and has to, like, pull the guy out of the truck. Then he starts to drive away, but they're shooting at the truck. There's like electrical shocks that take the truck out. So then he had to run out on foot again after the truck was incapacitated. Very, very, it seemed like very, very fun, honestly. I liked that part of it a lot. It's kind of having to think on your feet. What do I have around me? Again, very similar to Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild functions that same exact way. Kind of like a Horizon Zero Dawn as well. To
all the
bring
trucks
to you
in Breath of the Wild, yeah.
All the trucks in Breath of the Wild. No, you have to think on your feet, knowing in the environment what's around you that you can utilize. So I liked that. Also, the exosuit seems really cool. It like allowed him to do this big jump over a gap. Cool stuff. Then you fight the Death Stranding.
Yeah,
I should say,
do.
This is where I was kind of confused because I didn't know what they were saying. But what it seemed like is you're supposed to avoid the Death Stranding if you come across them. However, if they notice you, I'll get to that in a second. It seemed like they were trying to agitate the Death Stranding. The player playing the game kept shooting at the Death Stranding. I think he was just trying to get their attention so that the next thing would happen.
To aggro them?
So that way you would see those like handprints coming towards you. Right. And then when it comes towards you, then you have that like point of view shot of you swimming through the water really fast at the surface level. Mm-hmm. And when it cuts back to you as Norman Reedus, Sam Bridges, there's water everywhere. You're walking slower in that black water. You can literally stand on top of like trucks and stuff like that are coming out of the water while this big monster's attacking you. And this is where it got really trippy because there were things where he would jump to a building and then the monster would start to like hit the building and make the building fall down. So you'd jump to another building, all while trying to like, in this case, he was throwing grenades at the monster to kill it. And then after he killed it, the water kind of drains into the ground and it's back to the normal environment again.
And this little back thing that blinks, it actually literally waved goodbye to him.
I didn't notice that.
He killed the monster and it waved bye-bye to it.
I didn't notice that.
Yep.
So that was all cool stuff, but I don't fully understand what was happening there. But there's enough that I'm going, all right, maybe I actually will buy this game.
Yeah, I think I'm back in. Kojima apparently said, before you watch this 49-minute video, if you're in on this game, if you're already sold and you're going to buy it, don't watch this footage. This is for people who aren't yet sold on it. And I think it did its job.
I think so too. But honestly, I think it did its job in 2 ways. I still don't know what's going on in the game.
Yep.
so it's successful in that way. I still feel there's surprises for me when I get into this world. But I don't think that it's going to be this 10 out of 10 masterpiece game that I think people are kind of expecting it to be.
It could be. We won't know
it
until
could be.
November.
I'm not getting that vibe quite yet. I think this is going to be one of those games that took a lot of risks, did some really unique things, and set the standard for some other innovations to come going forward.
All while being a Kojima-ass Unleashed game that maybe this is why... Maybe it turns out to be complete and utter trash, and that's why Konami was like, dude, you're losing it. You got to get out. Take your name off your stuff. Don't go to games. Don't go to the Game Awards. You're going to embarrass yourself. I'm just kidding. No, this does look just... It looks like it might be a fun, good game, and I'm excited.
Yeah. And he is already working his next project as well. That is happening. He's announced that... Or he's at least mentioned that he has ideas for his next project. So he's going to keep going. He's not stopping.
Don't stop. Never stop. Never stopping. Pop star Andy Samberg, SNL,
that was
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was a very funny movie. V-funny, as the kids say.
Any more thoughts about Death Stranding, Chad?
Nope.
Well, we're moving on. For the rest of the show, we got some other cool stuff for you. We got that Nicalis scandal. Is it Nicalis? Nicalis? What, how do you pronounce
Apparently,
it?
employees in the video are calling it Nicalis. Like the name Nicalis.
Okay. I can see that. It's not spelled exactly like Nicholas, but I can see that. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Ring Fit Adventure, some Breath of the Wild 2 info that's official that I'm kind of interested in, and then we're going to wrap up our main quest with the Apple Arcade details and kind of our impressions of that. Before that, though, Chad, you played Borderlands 3.
Oh, I played 3 new games. I played Borderlands 3, I played Celeste Chapter 9, The Farewell, and I played Gears 5's new multiplayer mode, Escape. Let's start with that one. Gears 5 Escape Mode. Tom and I played this on Monday, which was after we recorded the last episode, and after we finished the game. The game itself, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention is that I love that we're now getting to a point where games are designing their stuff with HDR in mind. Like, you could tell the environments in this game. There's a snowy environment. There's, like, a deserty environment. And the snowy environment with the ice, like, sideways flying off the trees. Everything is like this really beautiful blue, and then the like bright red of the desert sands. Like they know what they're doing. They're making this stuff visually stunning, and I was super impressed by the whole game. But then we got to escape mode.
Lots of colors.
So many bold, vibrant colors, which is a contrast to 10 years ago when everything was brown and everything was desaturated.
I remember that.
The original Gears of War was all just brown and gray. So the escape mode is one of the new multiplayer modes that they showed off. Actually, I think they debuted it at E3 when they did the weird, we're going to go into the stage underground, and then showed you a television screen with this on it. So you and 2 other people have to set off like this poison gas in the middle of a hive. It's like a randomly generated maze that you have to get out of before the gas takes over, and you're fighting your way along it. And so I played with Tom, and I played with the third person was just randos every single time. But I like... This is a fun game mode. You have a couple of ways that you can play it. You can play it with just like make it out. You could play it with, there are boss challenges kind of along the way to make it more difficult. But then similar to, I think I've only really seen this in like Bungie's Destiny Strikes, where you can play them on like harder difficulties and they like impose different restrictions on you. And you can do that for these as well. So you could say there's like 7 or 8 different difficulty levels, and every single one adds a new thing. Like you get enemies get more health, they do more damage to you, and then there are other things that are less common that I totally forget off the top of my head. But that was really interesting to see the different difficulty levels you could use outside of just the game gets harder. That was really fun. I enjoyed it. I like that it's there. I think it fits well next to Horde and whatever the other multiplayer is that is escaping my mind. Gears 5, all around, great game. Great experience. If you have Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. If you don't have Game Pass is a no-brainer. So you should get it. Next, I had a less than stellar experience with Celeste Chapter 9, The Farewell.
Oh, no.
So this is the free DLC that they released last week. On first booting up the game, I didn't understand how to access it. And I realized that I never beat Chapter 8 in the game. Because Chapter 8 is after you finish the game, And then after you finish the epilogue of the game, and then there's Chapter 8. And you have to go back and find, like, 4 crystal hearts before you can even unlock Chapter 8. And the crystal hearts are, like, really, like, you have to know exactly where they're impossible to find, basically, without a guide. Like, literally, you have to jump into this part of the wall that looks like it's real, but it's not actually a real wall.
That's lame. I hate that stuff.
So I had to go back, find some crystal hearts, and then play through Chapter 8, which was legitimately really, really great. Like, I was like, man, I can't believe I never played this. There's, like, this whole fire and ice thing. You're switching back and forth between the two that you're kind of sometimes playing through certain parts of it twice. Once is fire, once is ice, and it's very different each way. And then you're switching between the two in the same level sometimes. I loved that part of it. I felt like the puzzles were tricky enough that I was like, God, what am I supposed to do in this level? But then I was always able to figure it out, and then I have to actually execute on the puzzle once I figured it out. And then I got to Chapter 9, and I think what says it all is there's a video on IGN called The First 8 Minutes of Celeste Chapter 9. I've spent about an hour and a half watching that video, and I'm only about 3.5 minutes into that 8-minute video. I am playing this. I cannot, every single puzzle, I can't solve myself. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out how the fuck do I get past this screen. And then I go watch the video, and I'm like, really? That's the way you do it? And then I spend another like 20 minutes actually trying to do what they did in the video, which is near impossible. And then I get to the next screen, and it's the same thing. And I have to go find the next 20 seconds of the video. So I'm very, very slowly working my way through that video, and I gave up. This isn't fun. I don't feel smart enough to figure these things out. And then once you figure it out, it's way too hard to actually do. So if you're one of those people who like loved the B-sides and the C-sides of Celeste, you might really, really enjoy Chapter 9. But it was not for me.
Excuse me.
I'm glad I went back and played Chapter 8, though. I'm glad that I got that experience out of it and totally forgot about that was there.
I had heard that they had made Chapter 9 a lot harder, and it kind of makes sense because who are they saying goodbye to? They're saying goodbye to their biggest fans, the fans who did go through and beat the B and C sides.
Well, you're also saying goodbye to somebody else, and that's kind of the whole point of the chapter. So it's an in-game character thing. It has multiple meanings. It's deep. But if you haven't played Celeste...
I mean Celeste is a deep game.
It's legit. There was National Video Game Day this week, and everyone was tweeting their top 10 favorite video games, and I legit was like, yeah, Celeste is on that list for me. It is one of my top 10 favorite video games of all time. So if you haven't played that game, fucking play it. And then we played Borderlands motherfucking 3. Ooh! I'm so happy this is here. I played it on Friday I expected to play it for about an hour and a half, and I played it for 4 hours. And then on Saturday, I played it for maybe another 7 or 8 hours as well.
So you put a good chunk of time in this game.
Yes, I have. Because I also know that I'm going to be in Seattle for a few days, and then I'm back for one day, and then I'm going to be in North Carolina for a few days, so I'm not going to have a lot of time to play this game. But this game is Borderlands 2 if they made it perfect. There are so many quality of life features in this game that are so small, and then you do it for the first time, and you're like, oh my god, of course. But it is at its core Borderlands 2, but perfect. So things like when you open up an ammo box or cache, rather than having to hold X to pick up everything in the box, it just automatically jumps to you, and you pick it up on like automatically. One of the things they advertise too is that the loot, you have the option to play old style or the new style, where everyone gets their own instance of the loot too, so you don't have to fight over things. In fact, I don't even see, when I was playing with Alex, I don't even see Alex's stuff on the screen. I only see my stuff. The ability to fast travel points just from your map. You don't have to go to a fast travel station. And then your car can also be a fast travel station. So good. Your action skill unlocks at level 2 instead of 5, so you don't have to worry about grinding for 5 levels before you actually start to see the fun stuff your character can do. Ooh, this is one that you had complained about in Borderlands 2. Like, not knowing whether... Like, it was hard to tell at a glance whether or not a weapon was better than what you currently had, or another version that you might have had equipped in another slot. Mm-hmm. But they had this new weapon ranking system. I forget what they call it. Maybe weapon level or something like that, where they assign a number value to how good this weapon is based on all of the factors. Damage, how many bullets per shot, clip size, reload speed, all that kind of stuff. And so now I know as I'm going through the world, if anything drops that's like 220 or lower, I don't even pick it up. I don't have to look at, is the damage better than that? Well, maybe the damage isn't as good, but maybe it has twice the magazine size. I don't have to worry about it. At 220, not worth my time. So I love that new ranking system. Makes it really easy to kind of pick and choose loot.
But I really want to know. Because I think you said you played with Matt Vieira.
I didn't play with Matt Vieira.
He was ahead of you.
I didn't play with Matt Vieira. That's part of the new features I'll get to in a second.
Okay, I think you said you played with someone who they were a higher level than you, though, right?
We'll get to that in a second. I'm talking right now just about quality of life.
That's my biggest complaint about.
There are two other quality of life things that I want to point out. One, vending machines actually sell useful guns now. That was part of the thing. Like in Borderlands 2, it was like I never bought a gun from a vending machine because I knew I was always going to find something better on the ground. But now they sell useful things. And then there's a cool thing they do. They always want you moving in this game. That they give you hints if you're taking too long to figure out something in a quest. Like, there was something where Claptrap needs you to jump down and pound on something. But they haven't taught you how to ground pound. Unless you've played the pre-sequel, and you're used to that. But it's like, just a trap door, and you have to destroy it. And he's like, man, if only there was a way to destroy that trap door. Wait like 10 seconds. I wonder if you could jump from it from up high. And you're like, oh, yeah, there is a cliff up there. You try it once. About 10 seconds go by. Have you tried the jump crouch thing? I bet jump crouch would work. And I'm like, all right, let me try that. And I don't even know what a jump crouch is. And then finally they're like, jump up high in the air and then hit the crouch button and you'll slam down onto it. It's like, okay, cool. You're not going to let me sit here and waste my time. There's also a really funny one where you had to like connect something, and then finally she's like, fucking just shoot that thing. It spits out water, and that's going to complete the circuit, and then you can move on. I was like, okay, cool. I really like this. It gives you the opportunity to figure out if you're smart at puzzles right away, but then it doesn't waste your time too. So then new features. I think one of my favorite new things is the social aspect of like how you and your friends list are integrated in this game. As I'm playing the game, you remember the badass challenges? Like, find all the vault symbols, jump on the couch 3 times in this area, shoot 500 skags, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So those exist in a way in this game as well. But as other people in other games are doing it, you see their progress. So, like, I'll be playing the game and I'll be like, oh, Matt just crushed 25 skags with the whatever the fuck. Or so-and-so just picked up a gun that was really, really great. Or this person just reached level 10. So you, like, get little notifications coming in on the side. You're like, oh, I feel like even though I'm playing solo right now, I feel connected to these people. There's actually one part, too, where Alex and I were both playing, and we beat the first boss they showed at the E3 demo, which was Mouthpiece, and he's the guy who like has the sound gun, and his shield has like the visualizer on it, which is pretty cool. And we beat that, and then we were just running through the end of that area, and then I got a little notification: Greg Miller just beat Mouthpiece. And I was like, oh my god, we're all playing in the same exact spot. That's pretty cool to like know that we're all in the same area. So that's really cool. And then there's also the ability if you're playing with somebody, like sorry, I'm going to skip that part for a second. I'll come back to it. The other thing, if you're not playing with people, is that as you're looking at your quests, there's a little, you see a quest and it has a little person and a number next to it, that means one of your friends is also on that same quest. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm playing this story mission. Matt is also doing this story mission at the right time. That's a great time for us to, or at the same time, that's a great time for us to just kind of link up and finish this together. So that's really cool to be able to see that and give you opportunities to squad up together. But then when you are playing together, you get your own loot. It doesn't matter what. I was level like 13, and Alex was like level 7 or 8 or something like that when we were playing together. But when I was shooting the enemies, they were level 13 or 14 enemies. When Alex was shooting them, they were level 7 or 8. And our damage was proportionate based on that too. So like,
that's clever.
If his gun was good against a level 8 enemy, he'd take away a big chunk of their health. If my gun was really good, it would also take. So like, the fact that it's doing all that on the fly is super cool. And it makes playing together a lot more accessible. The loot you get from it is, even though I'm playing in Alex's game and he's lower level, I still get level 13 or 14 loot from it as well. So it solves all of those problems. It was super cool.
That's good. It sounds like they fixed a lot.
Yeah.
Those are all of my biggest complaints.
It's Borderlands 2, but perfect. And then another cool thing that I like that's a new feature is the collectibles. Some of them were linked to challenges before, but they've added kind of collectibles or like little one-off quests that you can do. Like there are dead claptraps everywhere. And rather than just saying, hey, collect pieces, like find every single dead claptrap in the world, they're like, hey, from every single dead claptrap, pick up a piece from it. And then at the end of it, we're going to use that to make a companion for Claptrap so that he has somebody to live with and talk to. Like, oh, that's kind of a cool spin to make these worth it. Or there are similar to like open world type things where every single level might have a big game hunt thing for Hammerlock where there's some kind of special big monster hidden away in some area of the map that if you find it, you complete it. So there's like one of those for every single thing. So there are like meaningful collectibles and meaningful things to do across the world rather than just saying collect these for collecting's sake, which is pretty cool. This game looks fucking stunning in HDR as well. This, I think, might be my new like HDR 4K showpiece. It used to be Horizon, but now I think it's going to be this. Just because
really more so than Horizon?
Yeah, because they lean into all the bold colors and the cities with the neon lights and all that kind of stuff, and it's all that cel shaded comic book type style, and it just looks really, really great. There are also, Alex was remarking on this, and I think I agree with it. Like you notice more voice acting from your Vault Hunter throughout the game. Like they actually have dialogue for every single quest. They're talking so much more, and their personalities are really great and really well acted. And I love that. And then also, I'm just going to give a round of applause here real quick. Shout out to Gearbox Software for finally doing female characters right in a way that every studio from here should be doing as well. This game, about 6 hours in, I didn't realize this because they weren't throwing it in my face, but every single major character in this game is a female.
Wow.
You got Lilith, you got Ellie, but as you're like the leader of this charge is Lilith, and then you run into Ellie and you pick up Tannis, and then you go down to these other planets and these other places, and the leaders of that area is a woman, and it's like, but they didn't do the Avengers thing where they're like, oh my gosh, she needs help. We're 5 women and we're gonna kick ass because we're women. Like I was like, cool, I get it. That's a really cool.
It's like a matter of fact thing.
It's just like it's there. Yeah. They're showing women and they're not rubbing it in your face. They're just a part of the game like they should be in real life. We shouldn't have to call attention to it and be like, we're a game and everything is strong woman and everything, or we've included a gay character. Aren't we so progressive? No, just fucking do it and then just make it normal. And I think this is the first game I've ever seen that they've just done it, didn't say a word about it, and it's just normal. Similar to like Flack being non-binary. Like they kind of mentioned it, but it didn't make it, the community ended up making it a big deal. But shout out to them. Fucking
no, that's good to hear. Because the matter of factness is actually progress. If you're making a huge, massive deal about it, I don't know, the message gets lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's like, aren't we a bunch of great white men making women the stars of our game? No, you're finally great people, and you've decided to do this and make it normal. And I love it. So shout out to them.
That's awesome.
All around, having a great time with it. Can't wait to put a trillion more hours into it. And the end game also looks like something with the new like features of being able to play with people and be on differing levels. Like the end game looks like something I'm going to be able to play with a bunch of people at any given time and make it fun.
Game of the year?
It might be. It might be. It is very, very, very good. But also, there's not a ton this year that I'm looking at this Game of the Year contenders as well. So it has a better shot because of that.
What do you mean? Link's Awakening is not going to be your Game of the Year?
Who knows? It could be. Bitch, it probably might be. What'd you play?
All right. Schoolwork.
Ooh.
Yeah, so much fun. This week, I'm going to have time to start playing Nier Automata, because I really need to do that.
Yeah, you do.
Especially before Link's Awakening comes out, because then I will be playing a lot of that. And also before Apple Arcade comes out, because I'll probably be playing some of that. We'll talk about that later on, though, too.
Ooh, we're going to talk about that later.
Before that, though, we're going to talk about our fetch quests. We got 5 of them for you this week.
For
starters, there's a Last of Us Part 2 event happening September 24th that I'm very, very excited for. I can't wait to finally see more of this game. But I also don't want to see more of this game because I just want to buy it and play it. So it's like, I'm excited, but I also just want to play it.
I think this is going to be just an event where, like, here's the release date. Here's some cool-ass cosplay. Here's a plate of spaghetti. Aren't you happy?
Here's a plate of spaghetti. Very common.
The spaghetti's only for people who were invited to the event live.
There was a rumor as well that there's going to be another media event a few days after that, and that one they'll.
That's where they ship the spaghetti to anyone watching remotely. That's how long it takes for the FedEx to get to you.
Yes. Questionable rumor though, but this one is for sure happening. Jeff Keighley talked about it. Next up is Vive Cosmos arrives on October 3rd for $699 in the US.
That's 699 pounds, British pounds you just wrote there?
I know. The headline itself does say pounds, but I had to look it up and find out it was 699 American dollars. But we're an American podcast here, so I wanted to the American dollars.
I don't know if we just if we associate ourselves so much with America in this podcast.
Well,
I like to think of us as
America.
a Lithuanian
That's our perspective
podcast.
on the world. You're right. We're more of a Lithuanian podcast.
The kick-ass, irreverent
podcast.
Lithuanian gaming podcast.
So the headset's going to be $699. This is a 2.0 version of the Vive headset, essentially. Not like the Vive Pro, but like this is more of the traditional Vive. It comes with 12 months of Viveport Infinity, which is actually a really good deal. 88% higher resolution. I was going to ask you about this. This is a flip-up design to get out of VR without having to take off the headset. Does that appeal to you at all as someone who uses VR a lot?
Absolutely. 100%.
Does it? Okay.
Yep.
Why?
I have to. So right now, if I'm using my PSVR, I can scoot. If somebody texts me and I need to read the text message or something like that, I can scoot the screen out from my face a couple inches, but then I have to look down at it like an old lady reading through her glasses. Okay. And then also Face ID doesn't work even if it's scooted out just a bit. And then also thinking about if it's so hard to get a Vive or something that heavy and uncomfortable when I was doing the VR gym at the Black Box VR, to get that in the right spot and all the things tight in all the right spots. And then if you have to take it off for any reason and then put it back on, you have to work again to get it back in the right spot. Okay. So being able to just flip it up, flip it down, I think is going to be huge.
Cool. I heard that and went, really? But that's a good point.
Yep.
It's also going to have inside-out tracking, which seems to be kind of the trend now with VR headsets.
Yeah, that's what the camera's on the outside instead of cameras looking at you.
Yeah. This year's Game Awards has been dated. It's going to be December 12th.
That's nice. December 12th.
This is kind of a big story, but I don't really have much to say about it other than what we've already said before in past episodes.
It does look like they're going a little bit of a different direction. Sorry, I think the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley's statement that he put out, that he tweeted out, it looked like they're highlighting people who create things with huge world premieres this time. It looks like it's going to be a little bit different than your traditional Game Awards, and it's the 5th year, so they're doing something special.
The next story is GameStop to close 180 to 200 stores following restructuring. There'll be more closures in the next year or two following that.
I feel like we read that same headline every month.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's a big story, but we've talked about it so much, we don't really have anything else to say. But there is a story that I really debated making the main topic of the week because it's so vitally important to gaming as a whole, and that's that Colonel Sanders is going to be in a dating sim for the official KFC dating sim game. It's big news.
Moving on to the Google Quest log.
Also, not a big deal. Google Stadia will offer game trials after launch. This is from the head of product, John Justice, who says the feature is high up on the list. Are you now convinced to do Stadia?
John Justice sounds like the knockoff version of Superman that you would find in the Justice Friends in whatever show that was on Cartoon, Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
I'm John Justice, and I'm going to fight for America. Now that we're done making fun of your name, John, great. You're
Good
offering game trials and demos. I think it was only for pro members or something like that, as part of the subscription or something like that. But, or maybe it wasn't. I think it's necessary so people can find out if this streaming service is even going to frickin' work in their real world environment before they commit to it. So cool.
Yeah, don't care. Actually, an important story now to talk about in our third-party quest log from Jason Schreier at Kotaku, inside the ghosting, racism, and exploitation at game publisher Nicalis.
Nicalis, if you just want to know how to spell the company that you should now be shunning and not supporting anymore.
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of those examples of like, cool. So not buying games from them anymore. Not
And
that
by
I
that
actually
I mean,
think I ever
listen,
have.
this is a difficult conversation because the actions of one person doesn't mean you should shame everyone else who works at that studio and their jobs and their livelihoods. It's difficult. It's a difficult situation.
This person though sounds like they have a lot of control in the company. Let's talk about it, and then let me kind of run through the bullet points here. Then we'll talk about it. So they have, first of all, it's not a very big company. They only have 20 people on staff, and that's in Orange County, California. However, the sources are 4 external devs that have worked with them and 7 former employees. So a significant number of people compared to how many people worked there. That I'm like, yeah, this is. That's a lot of people talking.
Nearly half of their employees are the source for this thing.
And this came out later in the article. I want to point it out now. They have no HR department. Is that illegal? I really thought that, like, maybe at a certain size you'd have an HR department. I don't know. But
I don't know.
Damn, they really need it. That's for sure. So the president of Nicalis is Tyrone Rodriguez. He was described as friendly yet difficult, controlling and exploitative. He has pressured employees to drink, and he has said racial and ableist slurs at work and over Skype. We're going to break down some of those right now. So controlling and exploitative. He would pressure employees to do things by saying, don't be a little bitch. He would be super controlling by saying you can't cross your legs or put your elbows up on the table when you go to events and things like that, because people give a shit about that apparently. And he monitors employees' Twitter's accounts and tells them to avoid certain people. We're going to get to the business practices in a second. This is just going to focus on Tyrone for a bit. Pressuring employees to drink. This one's really gross to me. He would get developers drunk before discussing business arrangements with them, which is just really unethical. He would entice employees with big-ticket rewards such as airplane tickets to drink disgusting concoctions. What that means is drinks that have like, okay, we're going to put Sprite in a cup, pour some ketchup in it, also some soy sauce, a bunch of other bullshit, and if you drink that, I'll give you a plane ticket to somewhere so you can go on a vacation.
100% did that when I was 8 years old. We were at a Golden Corral. We used to do it all the time, but we were at a Golden Corral, and you pour ketchup in there, you put Pepsi, you put Sprite, you put orange soda, you put salt, pepper, and then top it all off with the skin of a baked potato. True story. I was 8, not a grown-ass man running a company.
He also had racial and ableist slurs at work and over Skype. So he referred to external partners as retards, you gays, and I like that N-word, which are just really inappropriate things to say. 2 of the employees did say that these were just extremely off-color jokes, but it kind of just doesn't change the fact that it's blatantly offensive, even if he's not being serious. Like, there's just not things that you joke about.
Yep.
Especially in a professional environment. And this one, I think, is just gross, too. He's telling an overweight employee to go on walks and pressuring him like that. Really, just this guy, Tyrone Rodriguez, kind of just sounds like a piece of shit.
You know what this exactly 100% sounds like? This sounds like somebody who was one of those stereotypical frat boy douchebags. All of this makes sense in like a frat boy hazing kind of way that never grew up and somehow got to run his own company. And there's a certain amount of forgiveness because it's college and you're in a fraternity and everyone understands you're just a stupid fucking... I can't even think of a word to describe how bad he is. You're just stupid. But as a real world adult living in the working world and working with other people, you've got to learn, if that is who you are on the inside, who's just gross, you've got to learn to work with other people in a professional manner. And this guy never did. And it's just really disgusting.
Yeah. And like on face value, you kind of think, okay, well, that sounds like a small company. Who cares? But you should care, first of all, just because of how ridiculous it is. But also, they do actually seem to have a very big influence over the industry. So, for starters, like when the Switch dev kits were first coming out, they had early access to get those kits, and they just started buying up as many of them as they possibly could. And they would then hand those dev kits out to other indies that they were partnering with, which kind of just builds a relationship with them, and again, building a relationship with this really unethical company who... Basically, the next point really treats their partners in unethical ways. So this whole ghosting phenomenon, you might know it just from like dating apps and stuff, but also I guess companies do it too. This thought had honestly never even crossed my mind. I just kind of hope that some companies would be more professional than this. But Game Bakers, they wanted to make a port of Fury for Switch, and these guys said, yes, we'll totally work out with you on that. And then didn't respond to them for months. Didn't say anything to them. And finally, at E3, like, oh, I can see you in person right now. We're canceling this project because you haven't talked to us. We can finally reach out to you and say this. Just it's so highly unprofessional. But it also hurts the indie developers there that rely on ports made by Nicalis with game patches and stuff. So Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap, Save Me, Mr. Taco. And there were a few other examples too there. Taco. And they just said, hey, here's a game patch that we would like you to release for Switch. And they never did.
Yeah.
Not cool. Just really shitty behavior.
Not cool, bro.
Ed McMillan, he actually says he's cut ties with them for future projects. He said there's one, I can't remember what project it was. There's one project that it's so late in development at this point, they kind of have to finish it up with them, but they're not doing any more work with them after that. And then one of the employees that Jason Schreier talked to says that Nicalis took on too many projects, and that's why they had that ghosting pattern, because they literally just couldn't keep up with the amount of work. Excuse me. But that's when you tell the company, hey, thanks for your interest in us. We like that you want to support us, but we can't handle it right now. That would have been a very professional thing and an understandable thing to say. It would have created demand to partner with Nicalis because people keep coming to them and they have to turn away. That if you got that partnership with Nicalis, oh, cool, we can get that partnership with Nicalis. Let's stick with them. But now the reputation is, well, don't trust them because they might not even do what they said they were going to do, and they might not even let you know that they're not going to do it.
Yep. And at the same time, they're going to make you drink a ketchup and Sprite drink. So,
yeah. And like the stuff with Tyrone Rodriguez, that seems to really impact the employees that work there, which is terrible and awful. And then this stuff really impacts the industry, especially indies, who are looking to Nicalis and saying, cool, I have a chance to reach out to people with my game because I have a brand like Nicalis backing it up, or who I guess had a reputation, and you're hurting those teams. It's just this is really toxic.
Yep, I'm glad that
cool.
we're weeding them out.
Yep,
People
Jason Schreier is the White Knight. He is the
Yep.
He is the hero that the gaming community needs.
He's the kind. I'm sure that he like. There's so much gross shit that he uncovers that he goes to his therapist and just like, I don't know how to survive anymore. My life is just full of gross shit.
I love games.
I've seen so many things. I can't unsee them.
Yeah, so screw that guy.
Screw
That's
you
not
guys.
cool.
I'm going home.
In not great news, but this one case not really surprising to be honest. NPD U.S. games dropped 18% in August. So software and hardware sales were down $666 million. But that's really because hardware subs dropped 22% and software was slightly up. So software was doing okay in comparison to hardware. But NPD notes that this is not an uncommon thing to see this year. That every single month has had a drop in hardware sales. The best month of the year was February with a 12% drop as opposed to an 18% drop in August. This should surprise nobody because everyone knows next-gen consoles are coming. Why would you buy a new one? But the Switch is doing well and is continuing to improve. The losses of PS4 and Xbox One are outweighing that, I guess.
There was a conversation on Kind of Funny Games Daily just about like the NPD is very quickly losing relevance at all because it doesn't track digital sales for a lot of companies. And we're seeing now, I think it was Ubisoft said that, or maybe it was EA, one of the two said like over half of their sales for the first time were from digital sales. So they're missing a lot of things on PC. They're missing, and so these statistics, there are so many asterisks that it's like, this game sold this many units on PS4 and Xbox, but we're not counting PC numbers and we're only counting the digital sales from the Xbox store. And it's so many asterisks that it's, why are you even reporting these numbers anymore?
Well, the hardware, though, is...
Hardware, definitely, for sure. But software sales, it's like, meh.
If you can see that there's still an uptick in physical sales, though, you can assume that there's an uptick in the digital sales as well. So it is at least pointing
I assume that we'll start to see more and more downticks in physical sales as digital grows. So I don't think that you can draw that correlation anymore.
I think you're not understanding my point. My point is that if you are seeing an uptick in physical game sales compared to last year, if digital sales are outselling physical sales, then you can easily assume that sales onto the digital side are good as well.
Yeah, there is one specific scenario where if this happens, then you can assume something worthwhile. But there are so many other scenarios where it's like that number's meaningless.
No, I totally see what you're saying. The point of this, though, is saying that it's not the software that's suffering, it's the hardware that's suffering. And that point still ties even with the data that's here.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. NPD's got to be trying to figure that out, though. They can't not look at software sales done digitally.
Pier 1 imports, you'd have thought they've got to be trying to figure out how retail's going, but they're closing a shit ton of stores this year.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
So many things.
Too bad. Not surprising. Next year, our hardware sales will go back up, definitely. In fall, at least.
Yep.
And lastly, for the quest log here, Capcom's team-based Resident Evil spin-off Project Resistance gets first teaser. It's been rumored, not even rumored, it was leaked to hell. We basically knew. When I saw the trailer, I'm like, I have seen this before. But now we have it official. It's a team-based survival horror experience. I think it looks like it could be interesting.
It seems very similar to Friday the 13th, to the new Predator game coming out. You have 4 kids who are trying to survive in whatever map you've put them in. And then you have one person who is controlling traps and zombies and can even take control of the tyrant itself and chase after them, trying to kill all of them before they solve the puzzles together to get out of the mansion or this police station or whatever map that they happen to be in. This could be fun. This could be
a lot of fun.
I don't know.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to play this 3 years from now when it's failed and it's free on PlayStation Plus, and then we can get 5 people together on our podcast community and play it on a Tuesday night. That's when I'm excited to play this. Because that's the perfect scenario that happened with Friday the 13th. I don't think I could pay $60 for Friday the 13th, or even this is probably going to be like $30.
I don't know if it's as polished as like Resident Evil 2 is and has.
It is in that same engine.
Standard.
It's in that same engine. That's so good.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could be fucking sick.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Moving on to the Nintendo quest log now.
Oh man, you went deep with these notes on the Ring Fit Adventure.
I did. So all right. So they had the tease last week of this something fitness based,
right? And I predicted it's called Nintendo Trash. You just find something in the trash and play with it.
Then I think my guess was that it was going to be like some sort of fitness party game. We were both wrong because it's not a fitness party game, and it doesn't look like trash. I think it looks kind of good actually. But that's just my opinion.
That is your opinion.
I feel like that means Chad disagrees.
Let's talk about what it is first, and then we'll talk about why I disagree.
So basically what it is it's an adventure game where you use that ring, where they call the ring con, for different exercises. And you'll have different stages you go to. In each stage, you move literally by running in place. And when you get to an enemy and encounter that enemy, you attack with a squat or some sort of other, workout of some kind that can range from like red or arm exercises, yellow or core exercises, blue or leg exercises, and then yellow is for yoga moves. And then certain enemies will have a weakness to one of those types of exercises. So kind of encouraging you to do certain ones. And those are called fit battles. That's kind of the basic concept of it. Why don't you like that?
So here's the thing. This game is going to have their Jared from Subways, where Jared goes and eats Subway, nothing but Subway, and he loses a bunch of pounds, and that makes him more attractive to kids, and now he can diddle them freely. To be fair, actually, he did not diddle kids. He just watched films where they were diddled.
So much better.
But
so much better.
The point of that
I'm kidding,
is
it's all awful.
Subway itself isn't healthy, but it's healthier than eating complete shit. So if you're going from eating complete shit to just eating Subway all the time, yeah, you're going to lose some weight. This, I feel like, is not... The exercise that you're going to get from this is not meaningful exercise. There's no way you're going to get any kind of resistance training worthwhile from that little ring. You're not going to be able to get your heart rate up high enough to do anything meaningful by jogging in place and maybe doing those slow squats. with just the ring con in your hand and then like jiggling it back and forth. So I don't feel like the exercises that you're going to be doing with this ring con and with the leg strap are going to be meaningful enough to actually get you any actual results you're looking for. However, there will be people who will play this and lose weight because of it and have fun with it because it was more than just sitting on the couch. If their routine is, I'm going to come home, sit in the recliner, and eat popcorn and drink beer and fall asleep with pig slop on my face, and then they get up and they move a little bit, suddenly, they're going to see some results. And I'm happy for them, and I'm happy that they're up and moving and that they've taken a step towards exercise. However, the audience that I'm sure this is looking to reach a much wider audience than that. It doesn't look, for anyone who actually wants to exercise and has any kind of know-how about it, this does not look like appealing at all. Because if you're not someone who plays games, the game itself looks kind of dumb and shallow. And I understand that there's like, but you've got to match your workout type to beat that enemy color. But the exercise is not good enough, and the game is not appealing enough. On the flip side of it, if you're looking to trick kids into exercising by giving them this kind of cartoony game, there are so many other things that look better and that are going to be more appealing to them than what we see in this game. So I think it's kind of failing on both sides. However, we will see some people. Here's another thing. What I appreciated about Wii Fit is that it wasn't pretending to be something it wasn't. Like, it was, you're buying this, you're going to do exercises, you're going to weigh yourself, you're going to become healthier by using this thing. Whereas this is kind of doing that, oh my God, you're not even going to think about exercising because you're playing this game and you're running through this town and you're going to beat enemies and things like that. And so it's not attracting the serious people who are like, no, I want something to help me exercise, because they see that game and they're turned off by it. And then it's not being a good enough game to make gamers exercise and trick them into doing something. So they were like, why would I play that game when I could play something much better that doesn't require me to move? So it's not going to trick people who wanted to play games, and it's too gamified and silly and awful looking for people who want to exercise. And I don't think there's going to be an audience for it.
I think you're wrong, because I pre-ordered it, and I'm like, this looks like fun.
Oh, fuck. All right, we have to do a Let's Play.
I am that narrow sliver. No, I think that I need that trick to get into exercising regularly, because I'm really bad at that. And so I'm like, what? This looks fun. I also just want to check it out, just to like check it out for the sake of the podcast, all that kind of stuff. But
sure,
I think that could be fun. I actually think it's a good idea, because they have things like, and this is where I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here, because you know more about this than I do. But you said like you don't need a personal trainer. We talked about this on well, you do need a personal trainer. You talked about that on Affable Idiots when I asked you about like working out, that kind of stuff, because knowing the forums and all that kind of stuff. And this seems to also be kind of saying, hey, we can show you some of that stuff and get you started on it. I know that like this is going to be a step towards getting fit, as opposed to like, this is my regular exercise routine. It's always going to be from here on out forever. I totally get that. But I think for me, it's a way of getting started and saying, hey, getting used to working out, getting to the point where I'm not going to a gym and feel like I want to kill myself because I'm just completely dead by the end of it. It just kind of working my way up, because I spent most of my adult life never really going to a gym outside of week-long bursts where I felt terrible about myself.
Yep.
So I can feel terrible about myself in the comfort of my own home while playing a game, and that appeals to me. I like that idea. But I think you're right. Like, looking at them, like, using that ring for certain exercises, I'm like there's one where you defend yourself by pushing the thing into your ab, and I'm like, that's not going to be hard to do. You just push it in your ab. There's no resistance to it at all. I mean, I'm assuming. You'd be surprised if they had high...
I'm sure there can be, with proper form and things like that. They're not going to be policing that, obviously, anyway.
No.
But also, it's still not going to be enough to make any kind of change. But I'm glad that it is encouraging you to get up and move, though.
Well, when I get it, we'll see if it does or not.
And the idea is that you want to become conditioned enough so that you can go forward and do other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's
but
also
it's definitely not...
$80 is steep.
Is it, though? It's got the accessories along with it. That's pretty much the standard price that they've used across the board. They charge $80 for cardboard. This is better than cardboard.
I agree. $80 is very steep for cardboard. And this is basically a plastic ring and a Velcro strap.
Mm-hmm.
Steep. I'm not a believer yet.
No, Steep is the skiing game from Ubisoft.
But I'm sure you could ski in this to defeat a red monster.
Next story. I almost didn't include this, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, actually, this is
Don't call me Ashley.
So Breath of the Wild 2 is hiring for, quote, new experience, raises exciting possibilities. Based on the headline, you'd be like, oh, it's just one of those job postings, yada, yada. This is from Nintendo's official website, and it's not a job posting necessarily. It's a special interview on the Japanese site, kind of like the Iwata Asks interviews. So that's what made me kind of go, okay, this has some credence to it. And here's the quote. For now, we cannot comment much about the game, but our goal is to offer new gaming experiences that exceed those of the previous game. So we need the skills of many people to create this new game. This is the important part. That's the reason we are looking for new terrain designers at Nintendo. That intrigued me in the context of Breath of the Wild. They didn't say new level designers, new dungeon designers, because they've used that term before.
Mm-hmm.
They said new terrain designers. Are we going to see changes to the overworld? Is they talking about the Dark World concept? Is there just going to be more land to explore?
I hope we just see changes to the whole game.
Was it? Oh, well, I'm sure we'll see changes to the whole game, yeah.
Yeah, just something completely new and different than Breath of the Wild. Just kidding. I know we're not going to get that.
I'm excited about that. Well, I mean, if the overworld, depending on how long it's been, they could do things like having new towns and all that kind of stuff. I think this is actually kind of interesting news to see. Normally, these job postings are like, ooh, they said they're hiring a dungeon designer. Well, yeah, Zelda has dungeons.
It does.
But our assumption was that it's the same world. This tells us it's not going to be the same world. I feel like we can now say that. I mean, it'll be the same overworlds to an extent because they show that already. But there's going to be changes to that overworld that are significant, that they're seeking out new designers for it. That's got me hyped.
Cool.
I'm very excited.
Too furious.
And then lastly for our main quest, which is kind of our general impressions of Apple Arcade. I have a whole giant list here of a lot of the games that are on Apple's website, as well as talked about on Kotaku and Polygon and other sites like that. But I think we're both going to be playing Apple Arcade from what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think we didn't want to dive too deep into this because basically it's coming out a few days after this episode goes live.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to talk about our impressions and how it's changed and some of the games that are coming out. So they revealed, that's the first thing they started the conference with, is let's talk about Apple Arcade. And then they brought up 3 big name studios back to back to back. And it was like, well, all right. And they showed off some stuff. Some of it a little less exciting than others, but like Frogger from Konami, versus Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I was like,
no matter what though, they all looked like high quality games.
They did.
In terms of mobile.
That's the thing, is that we know that everything coming from Apple Arcade is going to be high quality from great developers. Won't have any kind of microtransactions, and the price. I think the price they killed it. $4.99 a month. For unlimited access for your whole family, for up to 6 people.
Yeah.
Across Apple
I was
TV,
expecting
phone.
over $10. It would have been like, yeah, they could get away with over $10 for this. But 5 was like, damn.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I don't have a choice. I have to consider it.
And quite honestly, for the most part, everything I've seen about it, it just looks like mobile games. And if you're a mobile gamer, this is going to be great for you. But then when they showed Sayonara Wild Hearts, that was the thing that was like, oh, they're committing to this. This is like a full-fledged game that you'll find on consoles, and you're playing on your phone. And then, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm intrigued. I'll definitely do the free month trial. But then after the event, we see companies starting like posting press releases and things like that, and official statements of a ton of other games that are coming to it as well. Like, whoa, they are getting some high-quality H2O in here.
The one I am most excited about is Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm. I liked Oceanhorn when it first came out on iPad.
Makes sense. That's the Zelda knockoff.
It's a Zelda knockoff. It is not the best Zelda experience. I will definitely go to that. But this looks like a totally different game. full 3D environments, complete freedom of motion in that environment, as opposed to Oceanhorn 1, which is kind of like a top-down, almost like Link's Awakening remake, where it's like top-down and 3D.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Link's Awakening looks far more polished.
Right.
It'll be a better game, to be totally clear. I mean, having the pathless, things like that. They're bringing a Rayman game.
Yeah,
Exit the Gungeon from Devolver.
Exit the Gungeon. This is going to be an exclusive game. Exit the
I
Gungeon.
just said exit, yeah.
From Devolver, yeah.
Super Impossible Road. They have an RPG from Square Enix. It's made by the same team as Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler.
Right? That's exciting.
That's huge.
So that kind of stuff really got my attention because I thought it was just going to be mobile games. I'm like, no, these are, to be clear, everything coming into Apple Arcade, this will be the exclusive mobile platform it'll come to. So you won't see these games on Android, but you might see them on Switch or PS4 or PC or something like that. For $5 bucks. $5 just for Sayonara Wild Hearts. That game costs like what, $12, $15 or something like that on Switch?
Well, that's why I'm excited, because like Oceanhorn, I'm like, well, I think the game was $10 when it first came out.
Yep.
So like $5 for the sequel, I've been waiting like many years for at this point.
And you know it's not going to be a Plants vs. Zombies 2 thing where like, I'm going to get the sequel, but it's going to be completely like disgustingly overtaken by microtransactions.
Yeah. I think this might of all the services Apple has announced this year, this is the one I'm the most excited about.
It is exciting. It is,
and we both kind of poo-pooed it when it was first announced.
Yeah, and then
Total
to know that I
180.
can sit here and play a little Oceanhorn 2 on my phone, and then like, you know what, I do want to play this on the TV. Boom, it's that Google Stadia style. My save file is there.
Mm-hmm. It will be iPhone only at launch, just because iPad OS is not coming to iPad till later on in the month, and this service is also not coming out on Apple TV until later in the month. And the Mac Catalina updates necessary to play this, which is coming out in October. So it'll be iPhone only initially, but
September
I doubt that's
19th.
gonna hold it back. Yeah, so September 19th. I'm prepared to have a few of these games tested out before next week. Hopefully,
Dope.
I should be able to.
Dope.
I definitely want to play Oceanhorn 2. Oh, why is Oceanhorn 2 coming out the day before Zelda? Because that, like, to me, kills it in a way. Like, it's nice to play when I'm waiting for a new Zelda game. What was that?
Have they confirmed that as a launch game?
Oceanhorn 2?
Yeah. Because I know that they're saying there's going to be 100 games coming to this fall, but do they have, like, a list of these are coming day one?
If they don't have a list like that, but if you go to Apple's site, Oceanhorn is one of the top games that they're featuring.
Okay.
Which I would assume the ones that are top featuring are the biggest games.
Yeah, they're featuring that and the Hot Lava game.
My brother's going to be super excited about Hot Lava. He's 8 years old. He literally plays Hot
Floor is
Lava.
Lava, yeah.
I played Hot Lava when I was a kid. It's a great game.
Me too. It's called The Floor is Lava, but the game is called Hot Lava because...
Well, my brother specifically calls it Hot Lava.
What?
Yeah, I called it Hot Lava too.
What?
Yeah, I never called it the Floor is
Rhode
Lava.
Islanders. So weird.
Us with our cabinets, which are milkshakes.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing. No, it's not like a huge thing, but it is a thing.
You call a milkshake a cabinet?
Not like as a common thing, but it has been in the vernacular before. We also call water fountains bubblers. That is a common in the vernacular.
I mean, I can get that because bubblers have something to do with water. But how the fuck is a cabinet a milkshake?
Let's look it up. I actually don't know.
That's insane. Like, there is nothing between... Jesse and I sometimes can start with a word and then make a lot of mental connections to another word, and we understand how the other got there. But from cabinet to milkshake...
If you type in... So I'm on my iPhone right now. If you type in cabinet MI, it recommends the Wikipedia page for milkshake.
That is so stupid.
Let's take a look. Let's find on page. Great feature people don't know. If you go to share on iOS, there's find on page.
You used to also be able to type it into the address bar, and then there was find showing up in like the Google search results too, but I don't think that's there anymore. Great content.
Bring us to our subscriber interrogative while I look this up.
You did not find that on page, obviously. Our subscriber interrogative, thanks to Dusty, as the
poll, I found it.
Yeah, as the poll said, Epilepsy Hill. He actually, I did not actually see this right in subscriber interrogative. He talked about the Nicalis studio thing, But I didn't see this. Because y'all need a Ryan subscriber in honor of this week, what Nicolas Cage movie would you turn into a video game? Great. We're going to pause that real quick. Holden, read about milkshakes.
Yes, so this is the Wikipedia. The article is called Coffee Cabinet. A coffee cabinet is an ice cream-based milkshake beverage found almost exclusively in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts, consisting of coffee, ice cream, coffee syrup, and milk. Ingredients are mixed in a drink blender or milkshake blender.
So it's just called a cabinet because it's everything you would find in the cabinet mixed into one?
I guess so.
You guys are so dumb. Dusty Hill, Dust Economy
Actually, the
Hill.
etymology of the term is unknown. No one knows why. That's really funny.
So what Nicolas Cage movie would you turn into a video game?
Ghost Rider.
Oh, I went and saw that for my 17th birthday. It came out on my birthday, February 17th, 1990. It did not come out the day I was born. But it came out on my birthday.
I have never seen Ghost Rider, but I just think that I want to play as that character with that like fire chain.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, you can do that.
Yeah, but like polished specifically for Ghost Rider as opposed to,
You've never played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. You don't know if it's polished or not.
No, what I mean is like he is the singular character they focused on for that game as opposed to every Marvel character as well as Ghost Rider.
You don't know that they didn't.
I'm pretty sure that's how Marvel Ultimate Alliance works.
You can't be sure without playing it.
In this case, I think I can be sure.
I could see like Annapurna Interactive or like the Chinese Room, the people who made Edith Finch or something like that, like doing a Wicker Man thing.
I haven't seen Wicker Man. All I know is that it's the bees in the head thing. Is
the bees and the heads. I want somebody who can like do an interactive spooky mystery thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe not even. Well, obviously interactive is a game. Stupid idiot me. Yeah, that could be a fun one. Wicker Man, the video game.
Also, here's another good one. I can't remember the subtitle for it, but there's a Bad Lieutenant movie that features Nicolas Cage, and I really want them to make like a Grand Theft Auto where Nicolas Cage is the main character that you play as, and you just hear him say Nicolas Cage things, just yelling like Nicolas Cage does.
Nicolas Cage just yelling.
The issue though is I haven't seen a lot of Nicolas Cage movies actually.
I've avoided them in recent history.
Adaptation's a fantastic movie.
Not a good game.
Wouldn't be a good game. No.
Nope.
Would not be a good game at all. But it's a very, very good movie.
But this is not what Nicolas Cage movies do you like. So thank you for your question, Dust Enchilada Hill. That's it now. We're going to let that sink in. We're going to move on to Game on Game Show, our game on our gaming show called Game On, where we play a game on our game show. Game. We've got 3 video game Would You Rathers because I've got to get the hell out of here and catch a flight. We're going to work through them.
So
we're going to talk
busy.
about... I know. I'm the busiest man in California. R.I.P. LTD Inc. First, would you rather? Would you rather only be able to play games if you're constantly eating a never-ending Slim Jim? Or only be able to eat while constantly playing Ring Fit Adventure?
I'll take the first one, for sure.
So you're gaming, but you have to have this never-ending Slim Jim just like snaking out of your mouth, and you have to constantly be chewing and eating a Slim Jim the whole time.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever opened a Slim Jim?
I don't mind Slim Jims. They're not
Have you
great,
ever smelled the air after opening a Slim Jim? Those things smell so... As a person who is disgusted by beef jerky and Slim Jims in general...
Oh, so I like beef jerky.
It's so pungent, and then you have to chew it.
It's like that's food. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I wouldn't say I eat Slim Jims on the regular. I probably haven't had one in a few years, but I don't mind them. They're okay.
Can you imagine how long do you think you'd be able to play though, while constantly eating?
Take a long time chewing.
You think you could keep that up? Your jaw would get so tired after about an hour?
No, I chew a lot of gum. I have a strong jaw.
Yeah, but gum is not as like tough as a Slim Jim.
Slim Jims aren't that tough.
But you're already going to be... Just fucking play Ring Fit Adventure, man. Ring Fit Adventure, I think, would be difficult to do because if you want to eat cereal while you're doing that, you can't do it.
But also, in that, let's say you figure out how to eat the food, right? Then the benefits of Ring Fit Adventure are gone because you're eating calories while burning calories, and you're probably going to eat more calories than you can burn.
It's a circle of life.
Yeah, but I don't need to maintain. I need to lose. And I guess Slim Jims wouldn't be helping with that.
No, they would be doing the opposite because you're sitting down being sedentary.
I guess
and
it also means that if you're playing
Jims.
Ring Fit Adventure, I'd also have to be eating a Slim Jim, which means that
you don't have to eat a Slim Jim during Ring Fit Adventure. You can eat anything.
No. If I'm playing a video game and I have to be eating a Slim Jim while playing a video game, that carries over to Ring Fit Adventure.
Okay.
In that case, I have to choose eat while playing Ring Fit Adventure because I'm going to be eating anyway while playing Ring Fit Adventure. But that's just one game as opposed to all games. So,
well, here's the part about the second one though is that every time you eat. So if you're just like,
every time you eat, you have to play
Ring Fit Adventure. Yeah. So breakfast, lunch, dinner. Mom's like, "Hey, I made pancakes. Cool, Mom. Bring it to the living room. Let me play some Ring Fit Adventure while I eat it." Or, oh my gosh, you guys, we just got off of so-and-so ride at Disney World. Let's get a soft pretzel. All right, let me get out my Switch. Let me get out my Ring Con. I'm going to sit here and do some V-ups on the ground.
An outlet. Okay.
But with the power of the Switch and the Switch Lite and separate Joy-Con.
Can you play this on Switch Lite? I don't know.
If you have a separate Joy-Con.
I guess.
And you have some kind of kickstand mode or you don't mind looking at the ground. There you go.
I guess.
Number 2. Would you rather be in charge of the paperwork and onboarding for the thousands of evil henchmen in a game? Or be in charge of buying hundreds of tape recorders, distributing them to every character, and then gathering them, putting them in order, and hiding them in all the dangerous environments?
The paperwork would be easier, I think.
It would certainly be easier. But I feel like that would be super monotonous, and you'd have to deal with all the tax forms. You could get everyone's W-4s, and then they're going to die.
Just working HR. That's all you're doing. You're just working HR.
But they're all going to be shot down and mowed down by the hero in the game, and then you got to figure out, all right, who's their beneficiary? How do I get their insurance filed? You're right. That's the easier job, the less risky job.
Yeah.
But listen to this. If you go up to everyone's putting their secrets on these tape recorders. Obviously, you've played a video game. Their deepest, darkest secrets and things that will find them, get them arrested and put in jail if anyone ever heard them. You get to listen to those on your way to whatever really dangerous jungle or fucking rundown building that you're planting these in.
That's a good point.
It's juicy, good entertainment. You get to travel.
But the thing is that the first one's just like a day job. I just do that, then I go home at night and live whatever I want to do. Whereas this other one, it's so time consuming. I have to do it all the time. I'd be traveling all over the place and all that. It's just so much time is involved in that. Whereas the other one, it's just like a day job. It's like a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I guess I just like a little spice in my life, so I'll choose the second one.
But I get the spice of my life after I do that. I'm going to have a job anyway.
Do you?
It's going to be monotonous and doing something over and over again the same exact way.
Last question. Would you rather your belly button was a Destiny Ghost-style AI companion, but it was useless? But it was useless unless you wore crop tops or something with the belly cut out. Or have a backpack that has Kazooie in it. Since you haven't played Banjo-Kazooie, you can lean back and Kazooie will poke its feet out and run really fast, so you don't have to worry about running. It also allows you to jump really, really high using Kazooie's legs, but also Kazooie is just a bitch. She is so mean, and she's just a jerk, constantly making fun of you, but very helpful. Can also fly.
So for the sake of humanity... Mm-hmm. I will not wear a crop top and reveal my belly button. For the sake of humanity, I will not do that. And I like the abilities to run really fast, not have to do anything about it, to jump really high and all that stuff. That sounds kind of great. And I don't know. I already have you who makes fun of me all the time, so it's normal.
Fuck you. I don't think I'm comfortable enough with my body yet to have just an open ring around my belly button. I just want to. I love the visual of someone walking around with just the belly cut out of like just the circle around their belly button cut out of their shirt. It's so stupid. Or wearing crop tops. But I guess I could find some way to like rip out Kazooie's voice box.
You go to the vet, like, hi, you have a problem with your pet? No, not at all. Can you just rip the voice box out of him, please? The vet will do that for you.
Here's the thing. Kazooie can go running and do all these things. Kazooie plays Ring Fit Adventure while I eat.
Oh.
Boom.
Yeah.
Shaka Khan. That's it for Game On Game Show, and that is it for our episode this week. Thank you for listening. If you would like to support us, go to patreon.com/respawn-aim-fire. Donate just $1 and get a lot of shit like influencing what we play for BARF, Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. As Holden mentioned, we're playing Nier Automata this month. And by the time you're listening to this, we will have our survey up for people to vote on September's. October's. Time is a flat circle. So vote on that. Go to Respawn Aim Fire's Patreon page. Tell us what we're going to play next week. And we're introducing for the first time the option for Bits of Barf, which is playing several small games instead of one big game over the month. Ooh, spoopy. And that's it. Just be good to people. I love you. And until next time, here's our usual sign off. Hit